Hello, it's Phillip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. Today I'm looking at a book from Spiramus Press, and it's an important book, bearing in mind what is happening at the moment within Europe and within Britain, the United Kingdom. This book is the UK Tax System, an introduction. Now in a third edition. It's been written by Malcolm James. It's from Spiramus. Spiramus produced some really good work for us as lawyers and accountants, and this book is another one which very much fits the mould. I find it good from a number of reasons. One is it's actually easy to read, and I do think in any form of tax book you do need something that is relatively easy to understand, because I do find taxation complicated. We used to call it revenue law when I was a student. I always found it difficult then. I had to do it. It was compulsory as part of my exams. But I've always found it quite difficult. And I do want and require, like many practitioners, something that's relatively simple, which I can help the client understand when we've got something really unfathomable which we're facing. Because let's be clear, there are one or two people out there who make the subject more difficult than it need be, and we do need clarity of thought. Hence this book here from Malcolm James. Now I've given it a title, A Most Welcome Short Statement on How the Tax System Works in the United Kingdom. Elizabeth and I talked about the book. Let's have a look at it first of all. It's only a small paperback. There we go. There's the front, then there's the spine, and then there's the back. The usual blurb, and then there's a bit about Spiramus at the bottom with their website and various other things. The index is actually quite good. I mean, I've sometimes been a bit critical of Spiramus, but this is actually a good index. It's got a lot in it. It's done by page number. The total page is 130 odd, so it's not a big book. What I liked about it is actually quite quick to get through, and you should be able to find everything quite quickly, because it's A to Z index, and it's really about the information that you're looking for. There's the cover there, front cover. Then you've got a little preface, and not much said by Malcolm about the book itself. There's the information. It's an e-book as well as an ordinary book. And then you've got some information about Malcolm, and then you've got the actual contents itself, running all the way through. Paragraph, you can see there's paragraph numbering, which is the sort of normal way we would do things. All the various chapters running all the way through. There are 18 chapters in total, covering all of the main areas that you would be interested in looking at. The framework of taxation, starting with a brief history, and then runs all the way through the different types of tax, what happens with CGT, VAT, corporation tax, income tax, trading income, VAT. Self-assessment. I think self-assessment was in particular was very important. Certainly for people like myself, it is as individuals within that part of the tax regime. I think this book is very important. It should be something that anybody in business should have, and certainly it's something that everybody who pays tax should be aware of. It should be basically in the reference libraries. As I say, it's not a big book, and it's not a difficult book to read. What's in it then, and why do we think this is a good book? Well, this is what we say. Accountancy expert Malcolm James has produced a most welcome third edition of his established work, The UK Tax System, an Introduction, for the general public and specialists to read. And I do think it has relevance to both readerships. The publishers, Spiramus Press, always provide us with an excellent service for practical and professional titles covering tax, accountancy, finance, and the laws relating to the running of a business. And in our view, this guide is one of the most successful paperbacks they've published in recent years for a wide readership, because it's easy to read and it has most of the information you're going to want to know about without physically having to go to an advisor and getting the information from him or her. Now, the book, I think, is easy to understand and it's well laid out. It will appeal, again, I say, to a wide range of people, from the general reader to the practitioner, who wish to refresh their knowledge with a contemporary overview of the entire tax system as it stands in 2016, prior to any changes that we may have now from the UK's decision to leave the EU, which again will impact in this area too, because we do have a relationship with Europe on taxation, and that's something again we will be looking at in the course of our exit once the relevant procedures start, probably in April or so 2017. Now, the book itself provides a guide to the structure of the UK tax system in 18 simple chapters, with just over 100 pages, giving a quick tour of the basic rules. When you look at the total number of pages, it's 130, but when you take this in totality, it's just over about 100 pages long. So it's not actually a detailed book to read. It gives the quick tour. James describes in his introduction the interaction between UK and EU law and its application to various classes of taxpayer, as well as explaining the roles of the government departments who administer it and the full range of taxpayers' rights and obligations. And I think a very good job he makes of it too. James is a senior lecturer in accounting and taxation at the Cardiff Metropolitan University, based in Cardiff, and he has lectured widely on the subject of taxation, both for professionals and undergraduate courses, as he comes to the subject, we feel, with a great deal of authority, knowledge and enthusiasm. I think that's important because, as I mentioned before, when one does revenue law, one can get bored very quickly, and you've got to have someone who can bring the subject to life. Same with land law, same with evidence, same with a whole range of subjects that can actually be quite difficult sometimes to understand. James has also lectured for the Chartered Institute of Taxation and written a number of articles for their General Tax Advisor, and he contributes regularly to tax publications such as LexisNexis and CCH, who are the foremost publishers, as I'm sure you know, and therefore he comes with a high pedigree. He knows what he's talking about, and he's put it in good terms for us to understand. Before becoming a lecturer, he worked for several large city firms of accountants and also in industry, so he brings a very common sense approach from the various sectors to what is a difficult subject. The third edition has expanded the treatment of tax anti-avoidance, and this is the big issue, of course, at the moment, will continue to be. The book is aimed at those studying the UK tax system or advising on UK tax, from the experienced practitioner to the newly qualified professional coming to tax advice for the first time, as well as being an ideal introductory text for any students of the legal system or government. And again, I think if we had civics at school, it's the sort of book everybody should know about as a student, because you're going to pay tax, and these courses should be quite clearly available. Of course, they'd be very boring, but at the same time it's something that's absolutely fundamental as part of our contribution and commitment to our society. Let me conclude by saying that we're really delighted that the new edition has now been published, because the taxation system, like the legal system, must be considered with the most up-to-date information available at the time for 2016. So what is particularly helpful about this new work is the way in which the author covers complex issues in an eminently readable way for the practitioner, advisor or layperson to follow. But therefore it's, I think, very important that you are sure to obtain the most recent copy. Remember how things change. The book reflects the law as it stands on the 1st of July 2016, so it's very new. I'm recording this actually in August, it only just come out, but I'm very pleased with it. It's a very simple book. Let's just open it in the middle. Here we go. CGT, Capital Gains Tax. It's chapter 7. See the structure? He sets out in very factual terms what it's all about. Then exemptions, who's not exempt, domicile, the rate, consideration and so forth. And again, if you're looking for anything, you can either use the front part, which start with the various contents, starting with income tax naturally, then going on to the other areas, or you can go to the back if there's anything specific. For instance, I've just had a case on double taxation, so the double taxation agreements are listed there. And I found that quite useful just to refresh my memory as to what some of the rules were. I'd like to thank everybody concerned at Spiramus and to Malcolm James for producing this work. It's a first-class work. As I say, I make it compulsory reading for all students because they all must know about finances at some stage. Alas, we're not that far forward in the schools at the moment, but at least this book should be available, and it's very cheap, and it's something that everyone should know about. Thank you. Do look at our review on the web and in the journals. Bye bye for now.